Well, hey everybody. We are just a few days away from leaving for the Model A Ford Club of America's national tour out of Waynesboro, Virginia. We just purchased this brand new 2025 Interstate car hauler. It's 20 feet long, 8.5 feet wide, in order to transport our four-door sedan across the country. I'd love to drive the car all the way across the country. That would be a lot of fun, but I just don't have that amount of time. I think it would take at least 14, 15 days each direction to comfortably go across that far. It's about 2,850 miles from us, from Reno to Waynesboro each direction. And we are going to detour along the way and visit some relatives, both directions as well. So we went ahead and made the purchase of this trailer, which is something I've wanted for a very long time. I've got just a few days to customize the trailer and get it ready for loading the Model A and make it ready to make that distance of trip. It's the first time I've owned an enclosed trailer, so I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to do a few things to it today, get it ready for the trip, and I hope that you'll follow us along as we go across the country. We do have to travel fast. We're going to be doing over 500 miles every day, but we will stop and shoot some of the sights as we go. And then I hope you'll follow the series as we actually do the tour itself. We hope to make pretty much a video per day of everything that we do on the national tour. So we hope that you'll join us for that. And we greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, the first modification we're going to make to the trailer is we're going to install a 12-volt battery operated electric winch, just in case the car ever breaks down and we can't drive it into the trailer. We can pull it into the trailer. Okay, the winch that I purchased is the Badlands ZXR 5,000 pound winch. I got it at Harbor Freight. The price was great, very happy with the price. And 5,000 pounds is probably overkill for pulling a Model A into the trailer. I went with a little more substantial one than I needed, just in case I ever had to pull an everyday car into the trailer. And overall, I think it's going to be a good unit. It does have one design flaw in it that I think really needs improvement, though. Okay, to install this winch, the first thing you need to do is mount this mounting plate to the bottom of the trailer. I want to make sure we got it centered so that when we pull the car in, the car comes in straight. That's just about perfect right there. We'll mount our drilling holes, and we'll run bolts through this upper plate and the bottom plate. Basically sandwich the trailer floor between the two steel plates. That should give us a nice anchor for the winch. Okay, the front two holes are drilled through one of the cross members of the trailer itself, so there's a good thick piece of steel which I drilled through for the front two holes. The back two holes are just through plywood, so I'm going to need to put a piece of flat steel on the bottom side of the back two holes in order to make a nice sandwich of the two steel plates. Okay, the design flaw in this unit, as far as I'm concerned, is that the feet of the winch do not just have holes that would allow you to drop a bolt through it and bolt it from the underneath side of the trailer. The feet of the unit are threaded. That's where the holding bolts thread into. Now that creates two problems. Number one, the bolt has to be pretty exact. It has to be just long enough that it gets through your floor material and allows you to tighten it up. but there's only about 3/16 of an inch of extra play in that threaded hole, so your bolt has to be pretty exact. I got lucky, and one of the sets of bolts that I bought turned out to be just about perfect, but that's inconvenient. And the other thing I don't like about it is that the hole size that the threads are, the bolt is not very big. It's not a very beefy bolt, in my opinion. If it was my choice, I would have used a much more substantial bolt to mount this unit to the floor. It's not going anywhere. Model A's are not heavy. It's rated for 5,000 pounds, but if it was a free choice, I would have used a much more substantial bolt to mount this to the floor, but it's not an option when you're forced to use a certain thread size in the feet of the unit. Okay, I finally got all the electrical done. It took longer than it should have, only because the manufacturer was pretty generous with the cable lengths that they provided. They were about double the length that I needed for my application, and I didn't want to leave all that extra wiring laying around for fear that it could get caught up in the winch. So I had to cut them all down and put new ends on them and shrink wrap them and make them appropriate lengths for a clean install. But got it all done, connected it, and it does work nicely, so I'm very pleased with it. All right, another little project I need to do before we can leave is I want to mount this trailer tongue box to the trailer tongue. It's a steel box that I got from Harbor Freight as well, and this will be a great place to put the battery for the winch when we're not using the winch, the tire jack, the wheel chucks, the lug nut wrench, and all the other small miscellaneous stuff that we need to have with us, but you don't want rolling around inside the trailer itself. So hopefully this box will work out real good. Yesterday, the Sagebrush A's out of Carson City, Nevada was having a lunch gathering, so we decided that we would join them for lunch. And within just a couple of miles of leaving the house, the car started to overheat, which I thought was pretty strange. So I checked the coolant level and we were down quite a bit, which really surprised me because while this car does throw out a little water every 150 miles or so at highway speeds, we hadn't driven that far since the last time I topped off the radiator. So I was a little mystified by why the coolant level was down. We filled it up and had no problems the rest of the day. We went for about a 70-mile shakedown tour yesterday just to make sure everything is as it should before we go clear across the country. But in the back of my mind, that didn't set right with me. Well, I just crawled underneath the car to make an oil change, and I see there's a big puddle of water underneath the car. And so I sat there for a minute or two and looked, and sure enough, we have a drip. And so after watching it for just a couple of minutes and investigating, I've determined that the drip is in the lower radiator hose. So let's take care of that. Okay, it's been several minutes and I don't see any more drips, so I think we've solved that little mystery.
That's exactly why you do a shakedown tour, so you can find these little unknown nagging little issues. So glad we got that one behind us.
If you watched our video from last month about doing pre-season maintenance on our Roadster, then you're aware that I was having trouble with my exhaust whistle. Turned out that the exhaust cutout was damaged. The butterfly inside the exhaust cutout was damaged. And I ended up putting the muffler back on without the exhaust whistle just so that I can get the car running again. When I investigated having the cutout repaired, I realized it was probably beyond my skill set and my tools to be able to repair it. So I put word out to a couple of buddies if they knew anybody that was in metal fabricating, a hobbyist, or somebody that might have the skills and tools to be able to repair these. And boy, did they come through for me. Within a matter of days, they put me in contact with a gentleman who's just an amazing metal worker. And he was kind enough to take this project on, and he repaired all three of my cutouts. I have three of them, and all three of them had some type of damage. So neither one of my cars had working exhaust whistles. And that's just terrible because owning an exhaust whistle is half the fun of having a Model A. If you have a Model A and you don't have an exhaust whistle, you don't know what you're missing. You got to get one of these. So he was kind enough to take the project on. He was fast. He was great as far as quality of workmanship, and he was extremely generous on the price. And the best thing about it is I've got him back, and I can get this on my four-door sedan in time to go to the national tour. My wife's not really happy about that, but I sure am. Okay, the exhaust cutout just gets sandwiched right between the muffler and the manifold, and you use the same clamps that are stock Model A clamps. You just have two of them. You put one on the top to mount the cutout to the manifold, and you cut another one at the bottom to attach the muffler to the cutout. I'm going to go ahead and get this in there, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, here's the completed installation. You can see we got two brackets, one there at the top holding the cutout to the manifold, and the bottom one holding the muffler to the cutout. And then I've got this little pull cable here that goes into the cab. It's got a finger loop on the other end of it, and anytime I want the whistle to activate, I just pull on that. That flips the butterfly and causes the exhaust to go out the whistle instead of the muffler. I do still need to wrap a couple pieces of wire around these tubes and pull them up tight against the frame to keep the vibrations and rattlings to a minimum. Well, thank you very much for watching, and we hope that you'll continue to come along for the ride as we cross our great nation and participate in the Model A Ford Club of America's national tour of the great Civil War battle sites, starting in Waynesboro, Virginia. If you happen to be in Waynesboro, Virginia, and you see us, please come up and introduce yourselves. We'd love to meet you. Thank you very much for watching.